Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Platform Teams demo session. And today I would like to start with the announcement of 229 release, the plans for 229 release. PMM 229 releases has the following schedule. We're planning to have the RC ready on 30th of June, the preview release on 7th of July, and the public release on 14th of July. You can take a look at the scope for the release if you participate in the PMM dev channel. It's in the topic, or else I would add the link to the scope to this PMM demos page, okay, and share it with you as usual. Do you have any questions to PMM 229 release, guys? Okay, then we can start our demo session, and the first guy is Anton. Anton, what do you have for us? What problem have you solved here?
Hello, everyone. Today I want to share some knowledge about our new implement. Can I share my screen? Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Okay, some time ago we finished implementing a new feature like monitoring from Kubernetes cluster. And now in our DBaaS, MongoDB and MySQL, we can see the metrics from Kubernetes cluster. This metrics collected from cAdvisor, and we can see only RAM, memory, uptime, and some information about CPU. And that is all. We can disk space also working from node exporter. And let's check what's can see here. Here it's working first. At the left side, we can see metric from container from cAdvisor, and if we haven't it, we can take from the right side metric from node exporter. This is MongoDB REPL set summary dashboard, and in other dashboards, when we have a node summary information, we also can see the metrics from the cAdvisor from Kubernetes cluster. And the same for to the MySQL dashboards. All MySQL dashboards where we can see node summary panels, we also can check metrics from cAdvisor from Kubernetes cluster. That is all.
So essentially, that's like we now distinguish between where the service is running, and it should be showing correct information from container instead of all node.
Yeah, sorry, and one moment about MongoDB. If we change, if we haven't in our ports limitation memory, we can see no data because there are no limitation and there are not some information about memory when we change it to another.
But should it then show the data from the node?
You want to... Can you repeat?
If there is no limitation, should it show the data from the node instead of the container?
Don't, because I try to solve it. Okay. Because
no, but this is in the scope of what you supposed to achieve or not.
Dennis, can you help me?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, no data doesn't look good because if there is no limits on the host, like on the container, it could consume all the memory from the node, right? So we should show the RAM. So this is a consumed RAM, right? How much RAM available or consumed?
This is consumed, but if we here, if you take RAM from the node.
No, yeah, this is the limitation of the C advisors. We need the kube state metric, so this is outside of the scope of the ticket. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good. Any questions, guys, to Anton about this item? Maybe something from Roma? Or Roma, have you seen this before, prior to this meeting?
Well, the scope of this task was to fix and start showing better than what we present, because the previous data were wrong. So in a sense of fixing stuff, it's already better than it was.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
It's not been QA. Just a second, Anton. Yeah. So
give me a little hope, please.
No questions. Then, as I know, this ticket been in engineering for quite a long time. Maybe you can point out, Anton, one interesting stuff you discovered during implementation of this, because there were a lot of stuff happening there, right? So maybe 1.1, the most interesting item. Can you highlight it?
Difficult to say about it, because this ticket is too big. When you try to solve one item, you see there are a lot of items from this. It's much deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
I think relabeling from the Victoria metrics was the interesting part. Like it's operator changes in the Victoria metrics operator. So adding the configuration there for labeling the C advisor metric that supports the same labels. That was interesting part.
Yeah, okay. If this is it, guys, thanks, Anton. We can proceed. And the next what would be is a portal team, bulk, invite, and deletion. Who would start, Peter or Nicola?
If Nicola doesn't want to start first, I can go.
It's not going to be me. It's going to be Zoriana.
Surprise. Let me share my screen. Yeah, okay. I will start first. This was one of the features that we lately added to Portal. Sometimes it happens then when you connect your PMM, then you forget about it. The PMM is not accessible and you cannot clean up the list of these instances. So for that reason, that our users are able to have this list always clean, we implemented this deletion of PMM instances button, and it says it will not update PMM configuration, that will not perform anything on the PMM side. It's just removing this PMM instance from the list, and if it's still accessible, we recommend to disconnect from Portal through the normal way, through PMM settings. So when I confirm, okay, it's demo. It's always like this. Let me see. Let me check my user. It's admin. Okay. Let's remove anything else. Confirm. Okay.
Looks like there's somewhere on the backend. Maybe it's a 500.
Still, it's development environment, so we will fix it. And I am already used to this situation. On demo, it always shows some errors, so that's normal stuff. And we will fix it and deploy to production. I will post a message. And also the second change is just The widget added for the tickets?
Sorry, Zoriana. Maybe Denise has questions related to the previous.
Yeah,
Yes.
so when you delete it from the list, PMM becomes active and it connects to the same token to the portal. Do you delete the token from the portal or something? So will it appear in the list again if it's active or like?
No. For that reason, we also added in next release version, it will be added this force disconnect from PMM, which just reloads the configuration of PMM and cleans up all the stuff related to portal. So you will have to perform this force disconnect first.
Okay, so if you do not see your PMM here, you need to force disconnect and then re-add it again.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions for this?
Do you know which servers were deleted previously? Like if you delete, I don't know, localhost 5, can you see that somewhere it was at some point it was here, but you deleted it?
For now, no, there is no such possibility, but this audit, like logging of actions performed by the user in portal, that's still in plan to implement this and to track all the actions user perform on portal. Not sure when we can, but
instead of deleting, kind of just disabling it, it's basically just removing the key the same, but you are not deleting the server from here. So you can see, okay, the server was at one time it was active and some reason you just, I don't know, disabled it.
Makes sense. Good idea, but we should discover it. What will be the reason to have this PMM disabled?
Yeah. Okay.
But thanks for the feedback.
No, Zoran, I'm not sure I'm asking the same question as Dennis asked, but what if you deleted a server and the server is trying to send telemetry, for example? Will it be able to send, I don't think it's connected, but for example, okay, if this server wants to still download security advisors, will it be able to?
Not sure. For sure that will break this relation portal PMM. So I'm not sure, we haven't checked it, but the main reason we implemented it was not to disconnect, but just to clean up the list. So everyone should understand that.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to to think about what does it mean for the server? Will the server function as before, or will it break? But I guess you're saying it's going to break. It will not be able to pull data to pull the advisors from the portal.
Yeah, right? That's why we recommend to perform this disconnect on PMM side and then.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is just the first step, because I don't think we clean up the authorization server on Okta, right? Yeah, so it's just the database, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Maybe.
On the PMM server side, you are going to get some message. So when you disconnect from here on PMM, you can see, when you log in, you can see, okay, this instance is disconnected, please clean up or whatever.
For now, that's not possible. Maybe Alex will correct me if I am wrong, but there is no way for us to connect vice versa from portal to PMM.
No, but the PMM instance itself, when it does it know, is it disconnected?
No, not now. We are trying to figure out the better handling of errors, and then make sure PMM understands what it needs to undertake to get back to normal, if it's even possible. So yeah, this is known, but no, this is like Zoriana mentions, this is just the first step. So there will be a sequence of things we need to put in place to make it right.
Okay.
Nice. So
yes, and also the next step, next change, it's just also the first step. We implemented this widget for tickets, and for the future we can consider using it as filters. So for now it's just not clickable, but
sorry, Zoriana, I think that there's somebody in the background and your voice could not, at least I cannot hear.
Sorry, my husband has demo at the same time.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was in our call.
No.
He's from Percona?
No, he is from EPUB. So.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And the next item would be...
Yeah, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, can you stop sharing screen so I can... Okay, thank you. Okay. Percona portal. Right. So this is I will demo the bulk invite of the users. We want to use this opportunity as sort of brainstorming and see people's opinion on this feature. So I will go ahead. The state prior to now is that you only can invite one user at a time. You can choose his role and invite them. New feature will allow you to invite 10 users at a time with 10 rows. Okay, I don't
up to 10, right? So you can
up to 10. Yeah, yeah, you can any number up to 10. So let's say I invite some users. I just need to copy their email addresses. And somebody will be admin, somebody is technical. If those users are not yet Percona accounts, okay, there is something on the backend since Zoriana's backend wasn't working as well. But this is the great example. This user was not, we invited all other users, but not this one, due to some backend issue. And we are showing this message in the invite member modal right on load.
Is it possible because you already invited him as technical?
Huh? Okay. Yeah, that's my fault. But we can see that it works. So if you have some issue on the backend, then this will be showed here. There is a question.
Yeah. So how do I know the other users are invited? Because the other users were invited. So is it saying, okay, I could invite this 4 user, but I couldn't invite this user, or
the all other users are displayed right here.
So if you close it, you can see the other users, and those are invited.
Yes, those are already invited successfully. Alex, question?
Yeah, 2 quick questions. One, it used to be invite member, but now it's multiple. So do we want to update the title and the button,
Okay.
title and the screen title, the pop-up title, I guess, right?
Noted.
And we didn't want to, I mean, at least in this iteration, we didn't want to allow the whoever is inviting this user to put the names like first name, last name, right? Is that coming, or do we not want to do it at all?
Probably Zoriana knows answer for this one. I'm not sure.
So we may not even know their names. The main idea is to invite users by email, and then they can update their names.
Yeah, I mean, if the names are known. Like I think no desire, still no desire, right, to offer that first and last.
So the idea behind the bulk invite was to simplify this flow, and if we are adding additional fields, it will overcomplicate, I guess, this feature.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Denise,
so maybe
next.
Related to this feature, but is there any way you're planning to re-invite, because people usually tend to lose emails or whatever, or maybe there was some issue and it wasn't delivered? Any way to send it invite, or you need to delete and send it again?
For now, it's... Oh, sorry, Zoriana, go ahead.
From what I see in Okta, we have this chance to re-invite to the users. So I guess that's good. Also, good feedback, and we will consider something.
Yeah, I think this icon, which interprets clock, can be clickable and can stand for resend invite.
Cool, nice, will be nice.
Thanks, Denise. Nuno.
Thank you. So Denise overtook me on one of the questions, which was can we, do we know that the people have reached out? Do they know that we can have some sort of in-app or in portal warning? So that's the answer. The other one is this Peter sent this to me a few days ago, and I was going back and forth on in the time I have with Zorian and Peter. But while we're here, is there any situation, any case that we'll have to add more than 10 people, 12 people? And to get to a point that if we have to add 20 people, this will get to become a bit of a boring and repetitive and error-prone process to have add one by one. Because my thing is that if we're going to have to add more than this, we might consider a bulk adding this specific group or that specific group of whatever via any kind of technical way. But do we have any case that we have more than 8, 10, 12 people that need to be managing some sort of organization? I assume that we don't, but just to be on the safe side.
I'm not sure I got your question completely, but that should be not really...
Okay, so here we added five people. Do we have cases that we have to add more than 10?
First of all, we will not allow more than 10 in this situation.
Okay, so it's solved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from the data that I have accessed with the current accounts, at least from ServiceNow, there are really not even no one account less more than 10 users. So
okay.
But we also have the API, Zorian, so I can drop here an example. If someone wants to read through, we have the API, and that API allows you to invite one by one. If you put it in loop, you can invite thousands if you want to.
Oh.
So that is also possible. So if you check the reference, you will see how.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, TB?
Just out of curiosity, why do we have a limit on 10 people?
To not overcomplicate. As you saw, actually, they could be successfully invited and unsuccessfully invited people. So to not overload the users with bunch of errors, so we just...
Okay. So just inviting people, you have a limit or inviting 10 people, but if you invite in multiple times, you can invite more than 10 people. So you can have 20, 30 people in your account.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we have a limit on the number of accounts. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yes, I'm sorry, I lost the connection. I couldn't hear you well in last 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So maybe someone asked, but I want to ask it again. Isn't it possible to write multiple emails into the same field, email field for the same role. Let's say that you wanna invite 5 people with technical role. Why as a user, I have to write them to different line instead of passing their email address to the same line?
For now, each role is to each email, so it's individual. You have to do it every time.
There are a couple of reasons that would justify such an approach, because if you use a text area for more than one field, first of all, you cannot easily validate the inputs. So you cannot easily validate each email. You can do that, but it's not super easy technically. And the second part is that you have, how do you present the failures to the user if those are if there are partial failure? In this case, we saw that one invite failed, and in that case, you'd have to find a way of showing that that specific email in text field wasn't invited successfully.
Okay, good. It's due to the technical reasons. Okay. Thanks.
But also not just that. Also, UI was. I think it would be a bit difficult to think about a solution. At least I cannot think of an easier solution to present those errors.
Yeah. By the way, it would be interesting to track, how many portal users used this UI to invite new members, right? And how many users using the script that Alex shared. Yeah, the link to documentation. So how many users using that and that? Is it a way to track this in telemetry or
that will be
somewhere?
Terence, that will be a good question, because really, if you're trying to make things easier, and although how powerful the API is, it is still running a script, and it's not like we might have people managing this that have absolutely no technical knowledge, they're managers or something like that. So it will be great to know the data that whatever our users are doing. I had understood that we can only add 10 people, and then 2 questions later I understood is only 10. You can add only 10 people at one time. So we can add 3 times 10 people, something like that. So just to get the numbers for us to make have a clear notion of how it's being used, that would be pretty useful at least for me.
To answer your question, Taras, is it even possible to know whether or not someone has already been trying to add users via API? Not at the current moment, but we are putting in place a sort of monitoring for how frequently different API endpoints are being called. So that will be something like it will be stored as metrics, and we will be able to visualize those metrics on the dashboards. So that is coming. That is in the plan.
Yeah, it would be really nice to have this, in my opinion. Again.
Absolutely. Because right now we don't know. We don't know what is being used, how frequently, how many companies or users, and so on. So that's coming.
Because then UI can be transferred to something like browse my YAML file, or and then just export.
Yeah, I think those things, like those metrics, they allow you is to discover, to make your decisions based on what you see in the telemetry or analysis or the dashboards, so that you can shape up the product and solve users' issues more effectively.
Indeed, yeah. This is the main idea behind all this telemetry and so on, to make the conscious decisions. Any other questions? No? Thanks, Peter, Zoriana.
Thank you. I will
Thank you.
share.
Yep, and next would be Alex. Who would be presenting this POC?
I will. No, this was presented actually. Yeah, this was presented. I am taking a second slab on it because there is one thing that we didn't discuss, and I want to address to the audience. Maybe we can get some answers. But prior to that, I see Tibor He's asking if TB is saying with PromptTail you can parse the API log and push it to local. Yeah, that's a good point, TB. We will consider this as an option. Thank you. So if I can share my screen. So we're going to talk about this POC, which is migrate the OVA AMI image to Docker container. Okay, yeah. So we have discovered this is an opportunity. There is probably little to no value for the customers, but there is huge saving that could come potentially from once we merge this this ticket. So what are we talking about, and what is the problem? To visualize this, I drew this diagram which shows you like two different environments. So I should start by saying that right now PMM server is delivered in 3 flavors: Docker, AMI, which stands for Amazon Image Format, and OVF, Open Virtualization Format. There is nothing else, there's no other flavor of PMM server but those 3. But then we have come to understand that there is the way we build, the way we test, and the way we support those 3 different flavors takes too much time, because there is quite some difference between Docker and the rest, between Docker and AMI OVF. To start with, those are different pipelines, and it takes a significant effort to maintain those build pipelines. We build them differently. We build Docker with Docker. We build AMI OVF with Packer, which is a different tool. There's all sorts of maintenance stuff and so on. So that is already an effort. But a bigger effort is being spent on testing Docker versus AMI OVF. And if I walk you through this diagram, so when it comes to the bare metal, we're dealing with the host operating system to which a Docker engine is installed, and to that Docker environment, we deploy our container. So this is the container. I mean, those are not 10 containers. It's just one container. It's just I was trying to show that we have a bunch of services deployed in this container, which is against Docker best practices, but still it's a monolith, so we do it. So into the Docker container, we run the PMM server, which has a bunch of services inside. So this is bare metal. When it comes to virtual machine, it's easy to spot the difference. You have the hypervisor, but this is even not important. What's important is that you don't have the Docker inside. So there's a guest operating system, and all of the PMM server components, they are deployed, they're installed straight to the guest operating system. And that's the big difference. So we end up testing one thing for Docker deployments and totally different things for AMI OVF. So when we identified this as a potential source of trouble, and actually believe me, from time to time we run into an issue that only manifests itself in AMI OVF, and it just doesn't manifest itself in Docker, or vice versa. So to eliminate that and to save on testing and maintenance, we're suggesting something like this. So we just if before we didn't see Docker, now we say why don't we install Docker to the guest operating system on a virtual machine? And then it would run the same. So we get rid of a special build for AMI OVF. Actually, there is going to be a build, but that build will be very, very simplistic and not insanely different from our Docker container. So actually, we install Docker, and then to the Docker environment, we install the same as we do for the bare metal, and that makes almost no difference. There's one downside to doing this. which is, okay, Docker is an environment, so there is definitely some waste. I mean, like you need to spend, Docker consumes about 5 to slightly a little bit more than 5%, depending on where you run it, of CPU, of network, and stuff like that. So there is an implication to installing Docker. However, it's not insanely different. So here, like we said, okay, if we run the PMM container inside of the virtual machine was --net equals host, which means that the PMM Docker instance, which is running inside of the Docker environment, will be using the host network, which should in theory, eliminate the performance implication when it comes to the network. The rest is not significant. Like if it consumes a little bit more CPU, well, so be it. Not a big expense. So it was, we were thinking we could deliver it with 2.28 until, and then Steve chimed in and said, like, guys, some of the are you even aware that some of the clients, they don't fancy Docker in the virtual environments? And I said, oops, yeah, we didn't know. So actually, we're not going to deliver this time. We're only testing. So you can see this is in QA. We're only testing just to be sure, there is no significant cost of doing so. And actually, I wanted to ask maybe a few people from the audience. For example, Charlie, you may know. Do you think we have a bunch of clients who wouldn't want to mess with Docker inside of AMI, for example, or OVF?
Honestly, I haven't heard from customer about those. Usually they don't go deep into what PMM does to build the infrastructure. Usually most they care is it's easy and secure. So as long as we deliver something that then it's secure, we don't have breaches, and it's easy to build, I think we wouldn't have much of a problem. So I really feel customers that they go deep to understand how PMM works under the hood, right? So, but well, I can definitely ask for the guys from the support team if they have anything to say, or any customer. Well, we can further investigate, definitely.
Yeah, that would be great to get some feedback on this, because yes, that feature is tricky. Mm-hmm. Like for example, if I can imagine a new client who wants to run their AMI image from scratch, they would grab a new one, and that would kind of be this scenario. But what if this is an existing customer and they want to migrate? They would migrate, but actually they wouldn't be Docker. So they would still run as usual. They would still run, like this, like they used to. So the upgrade process, and this is important, the upgrade process wouldn't be able to switch them from this to the new one. I mean, it wouldn't install Docker and then deploy PMM server to the Docker. So that's a subtle nuance that we need to like keep in mind when suggesting that. But on the other hand, there is a huge benefit when it comes to the team, because as I mentioned, like it's just we remove a big chunk of testing. So much less testing effort that we need to spend on that, which means we gain time we can spend on something else, on the features. And that was Charlie. TB, do you know if this would break something for the clients, for the customers?
I don't know if it would break anything. No? So as Charlie said, most of the customer doesn't really know or care what's running under PMM. And there are a few customers who cares and they go deeply, but that's not that often.
Yeah, I usually say
an
that
exception.
Yeah, that's probably the exception. The problem is if the exception is a huge customer, that might be a problem, right? So, but we need to investigate. Just saying on top of my mind, I can't really remember. Yeah,
absolutely. So yes, definitely, guys. Reach out to us if you can get more information as to what could be the blockers, what could be the snags that the customers would potentially hit if they use this feature. But again, that's a cool one for the team. That's just very, very much.
So in MS, we don't use that option for PMM. In MS, we are running in Podman, which is more or less Docker, but we don't use that virtual image. So for MS customers, there is no impact if you make this change. My only question is, if you make this change, the history or the data, is it going to stay, or because you are installing Docker and you're using a different location or whatever, or how are you going to migrate the data?
When it comes to the migration, actually, the migration cannot, unfortunately, install Docker for you. That would be literally impossible. So the migration, for example, you're in 2.26, you're migrating to 2.29, and this is AMI, and you hit the button, and it fetches new dependencies, and you're still in the same environment. Nothing changes for you. It's gonna be different for the new customers who just grab your image 2.29, for example, and for them there will be Docker, and we will install PMM to the Docker environment. So that will only affect the new deployments, not the current. So to your point, data is going to be preserved, no Docker, still the same.
Yeah, Alex, maybe let's share, the info to even maybe general chat on some kind of the chat. So guys, please take a look and provide your feedback, especially MS and professional services, right? Okay, thank you, Alex. And the last but not the least would be Vasyl, integration tests. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, hey guys. This is basically a POC. The problem we try to resolve is to give ability to experts and developers to add tests by themselves to test their advisor checks. Because on PMM side of things, we are testing only kind of integration side from the PMM perspective, like intervals and stuff like that. But the actual check scripts and logic behind that is not tested. So we want to have confidence in check files, as they some of them are targeted for paid customers. And as a first iteration, I did a POC, and now I want to show you how it looks like and how easy it is to add a test for MySQL, for example. So let me share my screen. Do you see the code?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's imagine we want to add a test for this check, and here we have actually this single YAML check can produce multiple alerts. So let's say we want to verify that this one works, right? So in order to do that, all we have to do is to copy this name, the name of the check itself, and create a configuration with the same name. So this configuration is extended to basically violate this check. After that, all you have to do is to go to the test file and add another case. Another case would be, right now it consists, just for sake of simplicity, it consists from two keys. First key would be the check name, the file name itself. Let me copy it and put it here. And the second one would be the summary that we actually expect from it. So let's say this one, because from the logic we see that if sync bin log not equal to 1, we will throw an alert. So in this case, we're just saying this one. To make it faster, we will comment other tests, and that's all. The steps of tests are pretty simple. So before the test execution, we are starting a Docker Compose file, which basically has latest PMM server and MySQL, which mounts the config directory. Inside the test, we actually copy YAML file to the PMM server, kind of, because with PMM server we also mount a directory with checks, and then we copy MySQL configuration to this folder which is mounted, and then we simply restart MySQL container. After it's restarted, just to be extra sure, we are waiting for an additional 2 seconds, and then we start security checks, execution, and waiting for this alert to appear. So let me just run tests. So right now you see we copied the YAML file and we copied configuration, and we are restarting MySQL, waiting additional 2 seconds, and here we are just waiting in a loop for this summary to appear. And you see the test passed. So now we can be sure that this check will produce this alert. Also, I've added it to check the repository for the simplicity, and these methods are borrowed from our PMM UI tests, because we already had those methods and waiters. And I added another GitHub action, which actually runs these integration tests on pull request. For now, it just runs MySQL, but we can parameterize it to run on different versions of MySQL with the same run. And also it can be extended to have Mongo parallelly and PostgreSQL checks parallelly. So yeah, that's all for me. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. And who would be the users of these tests?
Our experts and developers. Basically, people that develop advisor checks and write those scripts. I think they can potentially use this framework to add tests.
TV.
Is this documented anywhere, step by step, how they can use it? Because
yeah, go ahead.
Because you developed it, it's great, but if they don't know how to use it, they won't use it.
Yeah, for sure. I will. It's a POC.
Okay.
And I'm working on a README with exact steps. And for future, we can even extend it, but we still have to make few experts to give a try and give some feedback. So yeah.
Nice. And our users would be able to use this?
No. It's just for having confidence in our checks. For example, while I was working on this POC, I discovered that one of our MySQL checks fails on PS 5.7. I forgot to log about a bug about it, but it's there. So
yeah, good.
Which one?
Let me.
I believe the one that TB created, right?
No. It wasn't. It wasn't him. Give me a second. I will quickly find it. I think it was done by Marcos. It's MySQL configuration variables too. And it fails because there is no binlog expire log seconds variable.
Yes, I already feel the bug about this. And I already sent a PR.
Great. And you can just give me 1 day to merge my PR and you'll be able to add a test for it.
Yeah, would be nice. Nice. Any other questions to Vasyl? No, then. Thanks, Vasyl. As I see from our agenda, this is it. And actually our time is running out. So thanks for participation, guys. See you next week.